So today I'm just going to do a little presentation recorded for you to say thank you to the Rufford Foundation for the grant money that they gifted me in January 2020. So this is a presentation that I'm doing for the conference of the Rufford Foundation in El Salvador, but the language is in Spanish there, and I'm not sure how many people at the Rufford Foundation headquarters speak Spanish. So I'm just going to do a recording for you all in English, which I'll send to you so that you can see what we've been up to. So the project is called Investigating Cetacean Diversity in El Salvador, a training while doing approach to aid conservation and management of threatened coastal populations. My name is Nicola Ransom and I'm part of Murdoch University. So who am I? I'm a biologist of cetaceans. I've been working with cetaceans around the world for nearly, I think, 17 years now. I am very lucky that I have had that opportunity, and I really have worked in many different varied places in most continents, and it really was, you know, just my mission to travel around working with whales, learning, volunteering, sometimes getting paid, and just doing my best to help with the conservation of cetaceans worldwide. I, at the moment, live between Mexico and Australia. So I was born in the UK, but I haven't really lived there for most of my life. I haven't lived there for over 20 years. And I'm actually a resident of Mexico, a permanent resident. And I've also lived back and forth in Australia for the last 10 years. So at the moment, I am a student of the University of Murdoch in Western Australia, where I'm doing my doctorate, and I'm in the last year. So it's very stressful. And this is a question that people often ask me: how did I come to work in El Salvador? Well, I live in a place in Mexico that you can see on the map called Sayulita, Nayarit. So it's in the state of Nayarit. It's a small town on the Pacific coast, and I work with humpback whales there particularly. That's the source of my PhD project, is on humpback whales. And the humpback whales from Mexico, about 10% of them that swim through Mexico go all the way down to Central America. And that is actually an endangered, distinct population segment. So part of my PhD project, we were kind of investigating the connection of the whales in Mexico with Central America. And we found that there was a lot of data, you know, in Guatemala, in Nicaragua, in Costa Rica, Panama, in all of these places there were people doing humpback whale research, but we couldn't find any information from El Salvador. We then started researching more just about cetacean research in general in El Salvador, and there was just a big, there was no data at all available. And it was very strange. I was like, what's going on? And so then I started contacting people, and they were saying, well, there's really no one with any experience of studying cetaceans here at the moment. And then I started contacting more people, and there were lots of people who really were very interested in studying cetaceans. So kind of the idea for this project was, you know, rather than all these people having to leave El Salvador and travel to all these different places to learn how to do cetacean research. So, well, I live close by. I love meeting new people and I love sharing my knowledge and my passion. Why don't I just go there? And while at the same time we're doing the first research of cetaceans, dedicated research in the country, we can train all these people too. So we can train like a lot of young early career biologists who are interested in cetacean research. We can train people who are still at university who want to do cetacean research as maybe their thesis or something like that. And so I made all these contacts talking to people, and I met all these wonderful people before I'd even gone through social media, through emails, through videos. And so it seemed like it was really going to be possible. And there was just so many people who were so interested in cetaceans. And, you know, there seems to be an abundance of cetaceans in the region as well. But the truth is, no one really knows, because there had been no dedicated cetacean surveying. Prior that we started our project, NOAA had been doing a big scale research project in the Eastern Tropical Pacific, which is from Mexico all the way down to northern Peru. And so they had been doing it for 20 years, but on a very big scale. So they occasionally went through El Salvador and recorded what they saw, but it was, you know, very much on a big scale and not on a fine scale dedicated surveying. Then Hasbun had published something in 1993, which was just talking about opportunistic sightings and also stranded animals and just declaring what were likely, I mean, that's what it even says, probable species that occur in El Salvador's waters and confirmed. And that was it. Then there was one person who's also going to speak at this conference, and she did some work on marine mammals and incidental catches in fishing nets. But there would still be no dedicated surveying specifically for cetaceans. And so with speaking to all of these people in El Salvador who really wanted to study the cetaceans, and speaking to the Ministry of Environment as well, who were also very keen to have people study, we came up with an idea of how we were going to study the cetaceans. We received the funding. It was a wonderful notification. I think I got the notification when I was just coming back from a conference in December, and we received the actual funding from Rufford in January 2020. So with my supervisor in Australia, we designed this survey, which was going to allow us for the first time to really do dedicated surveying of vessels for cetaceans in El Salvador. The country, the coastline is very small, so it's only 340 kilometers. So we can literally travel the whole coastline. And so it was 21 transects, varying from 23 to 52 kilometers in length. I think, as you probably know, but if anyone noted, that we received the money in January 2020 and we started the work in February 2020. And our plan was to finish the first year in March 2020. But as we all know, the world got turned upside down. So we did not get to finish all of our transects. We did 9. So we did almost half before the world got turned upside down. And we did see 4 species when we were out there. I'll explain a little bit about that. But we did the transects actually in these boats. So notice there's no shade. And it's very hot in El Salvador. But so we were doing, they're called a panga. It's a fiberglass open-hulled boat, typically around 22 feet in length. And we were out there traveling along the transects, doing a methodology called distance sampling. Here is our team. I'm very pleased to tell you that we've now trained 7 people who, I think 5 of them are really going to go forward and progress as cetacean biologists. That is their lifetime goals, and they're making such leaps and bounds already. Melvin and Marlene were already in that pathway. They just needed a little bit of help, especially in the field, to be able to accomplish their dreams. The other ones are younger students who are just starting off their careers, Marvin, Rebecca, Diana, and they are just very excited because they love the cetacean research. So here we are in the field the first year. I will explain a little bit about the methodology. So we were traveling along the lines at 15 kilometers an hour on every line, if possible, on every transect, looking for cetaceans. Every 10 kilometers, and at the start and the end, we'd also make a recording for 5 minutes with a hydrophone. This is a picture of a hydrophone. It's a microphone you can use in the water to listen to cetaceans. And often you won't see cetaceans, but luckily their vocalizations can travel even thousands of kilometers for some of the large whales, people believe, but definitely, 50 or 100. And so we can make recordings and we can also detect the presence of different species. So we were also using that. We had a GPS recording our tracks the whole time. And actually we had 3 GPSs on board. So one of them we gave to the captain so he can travel along the line. Another one of the other team members had, who's checking that the captain is traveling along the line. And he's also checking the speed, because we want him constantly to be going more or less 15 kilometers an hour. And then the other one we're actually using to mark what we call waypoints. So we were out there some days for 10 hours with no shade. And every time we did encounter cetaceans, we'd note down the hour, we'd note down the GPS, and then we'd leave the transect, we'd go over to the whales, we'd identify them as in the species of cetacean. We would then try and identify individuals if it was possible. So the picture you can see is bottlenose dolphins. You can identify them by their dorsal fins, or humpback whales, which you can identify by their tails. We'd look at things like group size, calf presence, group behavior. And at the same time, we're recording environmental data as well. So sea state, visibility, cloud cover, we're taking water temperature too. So that was the main methodology we were using. As I said, we've only been able to do 9 transects so far, but we're very excited that we are going to get to continue and finish off our study this year. So we also collected skin samples. When humpback whales jump, they lose skin. They leave it in the water surface, like you can see in this picture. So we were actually able to collect skin samples, and we've now got, I think, 11 skin samples of humpback whales. And it's very important, in fact, because that population, the Central American population, is endangered. So a lot of people interested in the skin samples. It's one of the national museums of El Salvador right now. So the main species we saw was Sternella tenuata, which is the spotted dolphin. Second most common species we saw was Megaptera noviangeli, which is the humpback whale. We also had one sighting of bottlenose dolphins, and we also had one sighting of another species of Sternella dolphins. So what was really exciting is what came of us all working together. It was something that Melvin and Marlene had been wanting to do for a long time, was actually form a proper organization, which very soon will be an NGO, and it's called Proyecto Megaptera El Salvador. So it's made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, including me, and I feel very fortunate to be part of it. It was one of the most common species that we saw, and you know, before 2018, there were only 8 photos of identification of humpback whales, and now there's nearly 90. That may not sound a lot, but it's a small endangered population. We've probably got about 1/3 at least, which is incredible. And there's people all over the North Pacific who are very excited about the work we're doing there with humpback whales. In fact, when we couldn't continue with the Rufford work last year, Cascadia Research Collective are doing a project all over the North Pacific called SPLASH, which means Structure of Populations, Level of Abundance, Status of Humpback Whales. And they asked us if we would be the country representatives for SPLASH. So as we couldn't travel along the coast because of problems with the pandemic, last year we were able to leave them from just one point, do the work for SPLASH. So we did 41 surveys out there traveling for nearly 2,000 kilometers. We were out in the ocean for around 130 hours. We saw 75 cetacean groups, 4 cetacean species, and we managed to identify 49 new humpback whales. So this wasn't directly Rufford work, but indirectly we formed a group that, you know, it was able for people to contact us and ask us to do the work because of the funding from Rufford. And Rufford was the foundation literally for all of our work and all of our group. And so even though our work for Rufford was on hold, people had heard of us because of our Rufford work, and they contacted us to do this work, which is the biggest collaboration of humpback whale research in the world. So I was never been a country representative before for anything, and I was very, well, maybe, but I was it's a real privilege, and it's really thanks to the Rufford for supporting our original work. And even though we couldn't travel through the country, we were able still to hold workshops in Los Cabanos. So Los Cabanos is our base, and it's also where the main humpback whale watching industry is based, partly because it's the most where you find most of them. It's the highest abundance and density of the species. You can see this was in 2021 because we're all wearing masks. So we did still manage to do 2 workshops in 2021. This one specifically was on trying to explain more to them about the fishermen and the people who work as guides and work as captains for the whale watching industry, to explain more about the migratory connections of the humpback whales that they see. On other workshops, this one we did, you can see, was 2020 because no one's wearing a mask. That's Melvin on the left and me on the right. We were doing it on safety during humpback whale, during cetacean observation. We also did it on cetacean biology. And we've also done another workshop where we actually went out in the field and we're teaching them like good practice of being around whales and things that you can actually teach people when you're out on the water and actually watching humpback whale behavior. Because that's one of the hardest things, you know, we see the amount of whales in a day that they may see in a season in El Salvador. So it's very hard to learn about whales when you see them so infrequently. And so it's one thing that I've been able to share with people who are from a very low density area is what you can only learn in high density areas, or you can learn in low density areas, but it will take you years rather than one season. This was some other workshops, photos from other workshops we've done with the fishermen of Los Cabanos, who are just great. They're great people and I love working with them. This was something else that's come from my work and I'm very proud of it. 2 of the people I work with in El Salvador now have their own funding for their projects, their research. So Melvin on the left, he has some funding to do research on humpback whale distribution and conservation in El Salvador. And Rebecca on the right has funding for the song of the humpback whale. And I am the madrina, the advisor for both of them in this project, in their projects. And these 2 are definitely going to go on to have very successful careers in cetacean research. They're both from El Salvador and they both studied together actually originally at the same university. Another thing that I'm also very proud of is that this year, although the conference for the Society of Marine Mammalogy got cancelled, we actually had 4 presentations that were going to be presented about the research we've been doing in El Salvador, 4 different posters. And it's the first time that anyone's ever specifically presented anything on cetaceans in El Salvador. And actually 2, and they were the 2 people you just saw, Rebecca and Melvin, actually got funding to travel there and present themselves. So even though the conference has been cancelled, this was like a really great moment for us and for the work that I've been doing there, is to see, you know, the impact it's really having and that we really were going to be able to present our work internationally. Other thing that's happened recently, I was invited to be part of the meeting for the International Whaling Commission. Never happened before for me, for the work in El Salvador, which was great. It was in the middle of the night, unfortunately, when I was in Australia. But we are going to write a report this year for the next meeting for October 2022 about all our work in El Salvador. We're very, very interested, people all over the North Pacific, particularly for the humpback whale work. We also got invited to submit an abstract for to publish an article on a special edition of Marine Mammals in Central America for a journal. So we did that. So that's probably going to be our first publication. I'm going to hear if it was successful soon. It's only a note because we haven't got much data right now to be able to publish a more sturdy report, but the rest will come. But this will be our first publication. And then I've also been invited to be part of 2 technical reports for the Endangered Species Act updates, which happen every 5 years in the United States, which is quite a big deal too, because the humpback whales from El Salvador feed in California, mostly some further up the coast. And amazingly, one of our humpback whales actually got identified in Alaska. It's the first time that has happened. In Southeast Alaska, that a humpback whale from Central America has been seen in Southeast Alaska. And that's very important because Southeast Alaska has actually lost critical habitat status for the species. And now we've got proof that one of the endangered distinct population segments actually do feed there. So people are very interested in the work we're doing, particularly in the United States, because our humpback whales from Central America migrate there to feed. So that's just a few of the things we've been up to. And really, all of this is only possible because of the Rufford Foundation. I was a little bit upset I was going to present in English. I wasn't going to present in English because I was going to do it in both languages. But I understand everyone else is doing it in Spanish, so I'm going to do it in Spanish too. But I just wanted to make this video just to say thank you so much for for making it all possible, because this is just the start. I know it's just the start. I can't actually believe what we've managed to achieve so far, even though we, received our funding only a month before the pandemic. But really, I'm just such a small piece of this. It was kind of something magical that was happening all at the same time, because the Ministry of Environment, they were very interested in doing something. There were local young biologists, they were really trying to do something. And then I was just kind of a missing piece, a little piece of the jigsaw that could really kind of help them kind of achieve everything that they wanted to. So I just want to say thank you so much to the Rufford Foundation for your support and for making this all possible. It really is making the careers of young biologists in El Salvador, it's making them have a future in cetacean research, and it's really going to have big impact on the conservation of cetaceans there. If we don't know what's there, it's impossible to protect them. And so we don't know what the range is, what the distribution is, what season they're there, how many are there, what's the density, what's the abundance. So we're going to try and answer a lot of those questions, which we really hope in the future is going to really help with the conservation of the species of cetaceans that are present in El Salvador. And hopefully it will aid the government, the Ministry of Environment, with their management and their mitigation for all the cetaceans of El Salvador. So thank you very much. And bye-bye.